Hey gang, we are at Queen of Heaven Cemetery. I'm with my buddy Britton here. Got to get my Britton fix, and you too. Yeah, I was passing through. I was in Southern Illinois this morning. Actually, yesterday, stayed overnight in Mount Vernon, Illinois. But I was down there shooting a Halloween story, heading back this way. And how you been doing, man?
Good.
Yeah, what's been going on?
Good to be back on board.
Yeah, he's just saying he was at Lollapalooza last week, the week before, and he's gonna take a break. So
Sure.
getting kind of crazy there, huh?
Yeah, it's for the youths, you can honestly say
The
these
youths,
days.
like the 20-year-old youths.
Yeah, I would say even younger too. My 16-year-old totally fit in, all
Yeah,
of her pals and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely taken a shift towards the more pop music, younger
Oh,
audience, younger crowd.
not getting in the mosh pit.
Not at all. Not at all. Not for at least a decade, thankfully.
Yeah, so heading up, and I wanted to stop by here. There's a grave of a little guy that I wanted to share, somewhat forgotten. Now, my brother-in-law, Michael, he was up north about a month ago, and he's my age, so grew up in the 60s, little guys, and we were talking about the movie Stand By Me, right,
Mm-hmm.
with Richard
Sure.
Dreyfuss and all the,
River
it was River
Phoenix,
Phoenix,
Will
right?
Wheaton, based
Stand
on a
By Me.
Stephen King novel.
Yeah, they found the body of, what was the boy's name at the end? It was all about, all the intriguing things of adventure when we're young. And he said his own little Stand By Me moment, if you will, like looking for the body, was they took their bicycles over and they wanted to see the window where this boy was killed, little Johnny Lindquist. And I go, "Who's Johnny Lindquist?" And he's like, "You didn't hear about that in the 60s here in Chicago?" It was it was a little before your time. Britain's a little younger. You probably don't remember the story. But yeah, this little boy was, and if you don't like stories about child abuse, none of us do, but if you don't want to hear this, now's the time to turn this off. But it was just one of these terrible stories where, two parents just beat the crap out of this little guy. And, well, let's walk to his grave and we'll talk a little bit about his story. So you don't remember that story, huh?
I do
Growing up?
not.
You're
No.
probably like, how old are you? You're like 15 years younger than me.
Yeah, 10
So
years or
what year
20
are you born?
years.
Can I ask?
79.
79. So this was well before this happened. So we're in this section, like right over there is where all the kids are buried. If you remember the Lady of the Angels fire story that I did. And this is a massive children's section here. Let's just take a quick look. This is just a really heartwarming statue here with the kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the entire section.
Yeah. This is all children.
I believe established in the early 1950s, and still presently there are stillborns and infants that are buried here in this section.
Yeah. So little Johnny, he, gosh, how do I even start the story? His mom had tuberculosis. So the jets go, so right in the flight path of, is this Midway? This is probably
Yeah.
Midway Airport, not O'Hare.
Yeah, that bird's headed to Midway.
Yeah. So little Johnny was born. His mom had tuberculosis, so he was going to foster homes. And I guess she got better because they wanted him back. And the Catholic child placement, the Catholic church was foster home program. And I think they still do that today. They have Easter seals, they have all kinds of child placement things. And they said, he's really got to go back with his biological family, right?
Yeah.
They
Eventually try to get him back.
did
with
not
his
want to go back because he was already abused. He had bruises and all kinds of things going on. These parents oh, do you remember their name? I can't remember their name. The foster family. Let me look it up. they really took Carvonics. They really loved him, and of course they showed him a whole different side. They had a farm, and they had animals, and they had a little go-kart he could drive. It was just a wonderful life for a few weeks. Of course, they said, you got to go back to your natural parents, because that was the thing. If in the day, always a priority to get back to the parents. So they sent him back, and within a matter of weeks or so long, the father especially, he ended up beating him to death. Walked outside with the child. The boy was still alive in a blanket. He goes, I just beat him for peeing in his pants. The mother had him in the corner before that and smashed him in the back of the head with a broomstick and all kinds of other stuff you wouldn't believe. He was still alive. He was in a coma for weeks.
Yeah.
And the whole city of Chicago sent him cards. He had a special phone line, right, for him.
Sure. Made top headlines when he was fighting for his life in the
Fighting
coma.
for his life.
He was making a recovery for a brief amount of time until he eventually passed away on August 31st, 1972.
1972, yep.
Yes, sir.
Now, those parents, they ended up, I know the husband, who looks like a creepiest creep. I found their graves. I think it's in Bloomington or somewhere. Maybe it was Peoria, I think. I can't remember. But I found their grave. This Irene, and I call him Eddie Munster. The father looks like a mean, ugly Eddie Munster face. Actually, Deb found a lot of stuff on them. And she goes, it looks like Eddie Munster. I'm like, you're right. And just a creep. He did go to jail for a while, but snickering, laughing picture on their grave. Oh, it's just monsters. So his grave is right over here. And interestingly, there's an American flag on his grave. Now, this was a mess when we got here, so Britton and I cleaned it up. Look at the epitaph. Safe in the arms of Jesus. That is true. Saved from those beasts, those monsters, who are dead now also. So they're met their maker, and hopefully judgment was passed, and hopefully they're burning in hell somewhere. Horrible people. They lived out their lives. Little Johnny didn't. He loved son. Well, the Carvonics, they never forgot. And look at this. There's a little, it says, my precious child, I love you and would never leave you. When you see only one set of footprints in the sand, it was then that I carried you. So,
Yeah, based on the footprints in the sand.
is that a
Poem.
Is that a poem or a saying
Sure.
or something?
Very famous Christian poem.
Oh, okay.
Footprints in the sand. When you look down, you only see one set of footprints, because then you'll know I was carrying you.
Oh, how sad. So, all right. Well, I wanted to stop by on the way back from my trip here, passed through Chicago. Just wanted to say hi to Britton. Rest in peace, little Johnny Lindquist. May he never be forgotten. And changed a lot of laws. Got a lot of, these things, big news happens and things change for the better. But it's still not perfect. All right. Well, see you later, Britton.
Take care, gang.
Fun hanging out. We're going to grab some lunch.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, Johnny.
Rest in peace, little Johnny.